Hey guys, what's going on? Thank you so much for watching today and welcome to another zoo vlog. And this time, as you can see, we are going to Disney's Animal Kingdom. Now, I visited Animal Kingdom and this footage came from that visit back in May. So it's been a few months. I'm so sorry. I took a cumulative of about 2.5 hours worth of footage and went through it all, squished it down into this 30-minute video that you are going to see. So grab a snack, grab a drink. We are going to look at some zoo inspiration. Specifically, you know, Animal Kingdom is a very highly themed park. It's not just a zoo. There are some rides and amusement things as well. If you guys have ever been there, I'm sure that you know. Disney's Animal Kingdom is based in Florida, for those of you that don't know, although it is pretty world renowned. Disney is obviously a pretty big company. But the first thing that we did when we walked in is we beelined it for the Avatar ride, the Flight of Passage ride, because that line gets to be ridiculously long and we did not want to pay for the extra, you know, little passes, the fast pass thingies, whatever they call them now. I think it's Genie Plus or whatever it was. So we lucked out because we actually beelined it over there. We got in line and we really only waited about an hour, which is fantastic for Flight of Passage. Now in this vlog, you're not going to see really any of the rides or amusement aspects of the park. I'm specifically just focusing on the animal enclosures aside from Pandora, right? Because this world over here is pretty highly themed and overly done. So I just wanted to take you through and kind of show you what that looks like. But now we're going to be moving on to more animal things. So after Pandora, we made our way over here where there's this beautiful little river. There's water all throughout the park. The Animal Kingdom is kind of built on these little islands with like river channels in between and things like that. So it's pretty cool. I'll include these little shots of us walking around just so that you guys can get some ideas of buildings. That's a beautiful fence right there. You know, all the things that us Planet Zoo, Planet Coaster, Prehistoric Kingdom, all these creative building games need all this inspiration to get ideas on what to build. So we're going to be looking at it through the lens of that type of person. So I'll be pointing out some things here and there that I enjoyed. I really enjoyed my visit. This is the second time ever that I have been to Animal Kingdom. So it was pretty cool to go back for a second time and kind of see some things that I missed the first time. We did go in May, like I mentioned, so I did spend most of the day really trying not to melt. Those of you that live in Florida or have been to Florida, I am based in San Diego, so humidity and heat is not something that I'm used to whatsoever, and I get very complainy when the temperature gets above like 75 and there's not like a cool breeze going through. So I was pretty close to melting the entire day, but it wasn't too bad. We have entered the kind of jungle walk. I totally forget what it was. It was on that sign, whatever it's called, the jungle walkthrough area. So this is where we're gonna get our first glimpses at some actual enclosures. There are some monkeys in here. I really liked all the climbing frames, excuse me, and ladders and things like that that they had. All the animals also had fans all around their enclosures to help keep them cool. You can see here, this is like the little covered viewing area, fans for the guests as well. And these guys were hanging out kind of right in front, so we were able to see them pretty close. We'll get to another little clip here in just a second. You can see them up top, but then one of them eventually like comes down, and I'm pretty sure I included that because I filmed it. But very kind of jungly, very kind of pieced together feeling. All these little bamboo pieces are tied together with rope, and I loved all the foliage on the bottom. You can see it's pretty lush and over planted with these little pathways here and there that the keepers would obviously walk around. Moving on to an okapi yard, an okapi enclosure, pretty standard hoofstock enclosure. We've got some really cool like plants up front, but it's pretty just an open kind of dirt plot for these guys. Nothing too exciting, but that one okapi was sitting there kind of munching on some food. And then moving on to this little like explorer's house. I really like the little, what is that called? Like a little canopy out in front when you first walk in. Everything's kind of made of bamboo and wood and very jungly and whatnot. In here they had some little naked mole rats, which is what I'm walking up to right now. Super cute, creepy looking cute animals. Like they are weirdly adorable, but you can see here they have these little windows kind of on the side of this rock where you get a glimpse at what they're doing. And then we have some smaller, you know, in Planet Zoo they'd be considered exhibit animals, some little tanks and stuff. You know, in Planet Zoo recreating these is really not possible because of the size of the exhibit block that we have. So hopefully sometime in the future Planet Zoo will add some smaller exhibit animal stuff, but you could always make implied. These are kind of meant to look like little crates, little like boxes, barrels, not barrels, what's the word? I guess crates is the word I'm looking for, with animals inside. Then when you come out of that little house, you are in this aviary. So there are birds and things flying all over the place. I do not remember what these guys are called, but they were definitely my favorite to watch. Look at how pretty they are with the yellow on their beak and their little mohawk. They're such cool little birds. If you know what bird this is, please let me know down in the comments below. I remember knowing at the time, but because it took me so long to put this vlog together, I have since forgotten. There was actually two of them that we were watching kind of walk around. After the aviary, we are going out to, I don't think there was honestly anything in here except for all those fish, but here you go, you can see it's just like a little fish tank meant to look like a river, like a cross section of a river. We're still in the aviary, so you can see up there is the kind of netting on top. And then I spent way too much time in this spot right here. You can kind of see them, they're on the rocks. There was baby ducks, and there are so many cool animals in Animal Kingdom, but baby ducks will forever stop me in my tracks, and I will watch them for too long of periods of time. I will just stand there and watch them, and they weren't really even doing anything other than sleeping, but they were super, super cute. So I love them. That was probably my favorite part of the little walk-through aviary. And then moving on to the hippo, you can see there is a hippo, but doing nothing, basically sitting in the pool with all these fish kind of eating the algae and stuff off of him. You can see he kind of looks like a rock on the top, but that was the hippo enclosure. And then this is the meerkat enclosure. They had so much room, but because it was so hot out, you can kind of see them over there in the shade. They were kind of just relaxing and hanging out and really weren't doing much of anything, which is the right idea. Meerkats are really fun to watch when they are kind of running around because they are such cute little animals, but those guys were just relaxing. Moving on to, this is a primate habitat, and I think it's the gorillas? Yes, here they come. This is the big guy right here. It didn't take us very long, but when I walked up, as you can see, the enclosure was empty looking, and so nobody was in front of me. And then right when I was standing here, he came right out and walked across the glass like that. It was a really cool thing to see, and I was glad that I was able to get it on the GoPro that I'm filming with. And then you can see the females come out after him and just kind of hanging out. I liked this enclosure because the glass is kind of sloped, and whenever I do glass viewing in Planet Zoo, I always put it straight up and down, you know, vertical, and I don't really remember that, you know, you can make it slanted to help with glare and things like that, and just give it a different aspect when guests walk up to it. So that's one kind of inspirational tip that I took from that. And then moving out here, I think this is an extension of the same habitat that we were looking at. This is kind of like the outside yard. You can see we have this big dry moat in between us and them. Well, I guess that's a wet moat. There's water in the bottom, but anyway, there's a big moat, and I think it may be a separate yard, but it may be the same. I don't actually know, but either way, there's gorillas in here as well. Nice, beautiful, lush planted habitats, because obviously in Florida, the humidity and all that kind of stuff, very easy to keep very tropical plants happy and healthy. You don't really see any animals through there, but I thought that was a really cool viewing area with the bamboo up and down. It kind of obscures your view a little bit, but it's kind of a different way of looking at the animals. This is the back side of that same monkey habitat that we first looked at when we started this little walk there. And there you can see those are the little monkeys that are in there. And then moving on, we are going to get onto the train, which goes to the like conservation and education center that's out, like you can only get to it by going on this train, this Wildlife Express to the conservation station, which was pretty cool. This is where we're gonna go see some animals that we can pet and hang out with. So like the domestics, like goats, sheep, pig, things like that. But it was a really cool train station. Very obviously like tropical, adventure themed. This little train looks like a supply train, so pretty cool. We do have a train in Planet Zoo, obviously. So if you needed inspiration on what to make a train station look like, there you go. Some pretty cool backstage stuff. So on the way, we get to see these back holding areas. Pretty self-explanatory, just backstaging areas. Pile of dirt, which is pretty typical because animals erode their habitats all the time and you're constantly have to filling in the holes and things like that. But it was pretty cool that they actually let us see this. Disney is pretty known for kind of hiding all of their backstage service area stuff. And so I thought it was pretty interesting that on the train, we actually get a chance to see, we didn't really see any animals, but all this stuff, obviously there's the White Rhino building, this is the elephant house, stuff like that. So I thought that was pretty cool that they included that on the train ride, that you got to actually see that. Now we have arrived at the conservation station and there is more walking. Everything in Animal Kingdom is so spread out. I got so many steps, which didn't help when it was so hot outside, but we have to walk through this nice, beautiful, lush jungle. It just lots and lots of plants. So at least there was lots of shade. We get these little canopy kind of stopping stations where there was stuff you could interact with and cast members that you could talk to about things. And then we have good old Rafiki pointing us the way, trying to get traffic to stay to the right-hand side, although people are really bad at following directions and signs. So getting down here, people were constantly walking the wrong way, but as is life in a amusement park, in a theme park. Walking over here, the domestics are right behind this fence, one of my favorite areas because I love when you get to go in and interact with them. The fencing was done really cool with this one, pretty simple, but kind of adding some waves to the top of some of them gives it some movement and things. I had to stop there because the people had to tell me, I forget what they had to tell me, like don't let them lick you and stuff like that. Some rules of being in here with the animals. But as you can see, the animals have free reign of this area that I'm in, and then there's some animals that are behind these bars where you can pet if they come up to you. But I mean, the animals see people every day, and so they're like, yeah, I'm gonna just stay over here behind my little safe area. There were some animals, you can see a couple sheep are walking around, but they have these little gazebo things where there is lots of enrichment, their food, their water, stuff like that, and they can go in there and get a break from people. Look at this little sheep, he's so cute. Just kind of hanging out. He was licking his salt lick, and then I stopped to say hi to him. But yeah, they've got fans, and this is where they kind of go. You are not allowed to go on the other side of the blue rope. That way the animals can get away from you if they want to. This lady was waving at that sheep. I'm not quite sure what she was expecting it to do, but you know, I'll let her do her. And then this little goat just hanging out. You can see they have like a children's play structure. So if you're ever looking for like climbing structure references or inspiration, try looking up like playgrounds, because playground equipment is something that zoos will actually frequently use for primates, obviously for goats and things like that, that they want to provide some extra enrichment for. So if you need some inspiration for that, you can always look up playground stuff. And then we have that little pig just hanging out, another little pig right here. And then this little goat is the cutest thing ever. I actually get yelled at because I start to pet him and he starts to lick of my arm. And I guess that's something that you're not allowed to do, which I get it, because most people are wearing heavy amounts of sunscreen, and the animals would definitely get sick if they ate too much of it. I was not wearing sunscreen, probably should have been, but I was not. But anyway, he wasn't allowed to lick me anyway. But I got to pet him, and look at his little eyes. They're so cute. And then the miniature donkey moved over closer, so I had to go back and say hi to them. I really like these shade structures. They're very like playground-y and very bright colors and stuff like that. And I have a hard time using color in my build, so I need to pay more attention to this. I forget what these guys actually were, obviously some sort of goat or something like that, but they have such pretty colors. Like their markings are really striking. The contrast between like the really dark black and the like chestnut brown color, they're really pretty, but they had no interest in coming over to say hi. They, they couldn't be bothered. They were hanging out on their little hill. And then there's a couple animals on the inside with these little window peeking areas. This is a Komodo dragon. So he was kind of hanging out and walking around. He has a pretty simple enclosure. You can see though on the inside he has some potted plants. And that is something that zoos can use for animals if they want to exchange out plants. They want to give them live plants to, you know, simulate being in the wild and living in an actual habitat and things like that. But you can take the plants out, give them sun, or switch them out, or things like that. So they're not actually planted in the habitat. They're just in pots, and they can be kind of moved around. Then we go inside. Do I forget what this area is even called? But there you go. There's a kitchen that people apparently do actually use, because we saw a couple keepers go in and out of there. And then we just have some more like exhibit stuff. And I'm honestly just gonna walk through this pretty quickly because the animals were so small. I spotted most of them, but on the footage, you're probably not going to be able to really see a whole lot of the animals because they're so small. But you can see here they just have a few rooms with lots of tanks and things like that of little bugs, amphibians, reptiles, just a whole bunch of little exhibit animals. And you can just kind of go through, and it's kind of fun to like look for them and see if you can locate them and things like that. We'll go to another section too. I'm coming up on it. It's after this window where you actually get to look into the surgery suite for what the keepers and the medical staff would use for treating animals. They have these big curtains, which I imagine if they're actually using this, they're going to lower them, because allowing the public to watch any sort of medical treatment or diagnosis or anything like that, like any sort of, it's not very pretty sometimes. The animals are not happy, and letting the general public see that kind of stuff is probably not something the animal kingdom wants to do. But you can watch this guy work on a computer. He was there for like 10 minutes or so, and I felt so bad for him because he was the only one there, and everybody just walked by and kept staring at him while he had to do his work. I would not want my computer to be in that room. But anyway, here is a macaw waiting for its recall back to, I'm assuming its keeper is somewhere. It was doing a show, and this is like a free flight macaw, but he was hanging out up in the trees as we were walking by. He was making all sorts of noise, which is the only reason why we noticed him, is he was up there like talking to himself. Macaws are so funny. I love them so much. But he was up there just having a conversation with himself. I'm assuming waiting for, like I said, his keeper to recall him back. And then we go over, I believe these are gibbons. It's some sort of monkey that's in there, but they have this little island with this like scaffolding bamboo that's holding up these like ruins and whatnot. It's a pretty cool exhibit. So you can see there he is kind of hanging out. The keeper is standing in the water, so you can see the water in just 1 second. There you go, you can see her. The water comes up to just about her shins or so. So I'm assuming they just get back and forth by walking, because it's not very deep water. But you can see there he is kind of hanging out. He really doesn't do much. It's hot, so none of the animals were really very active and doing anything, just kind of hanging out. But I thought this was a really cool exhibit. Obviously, as I mentioned in the very beginning, it's Disney. You get a great view of Everest right there. Beautiful, beautiful view against the sky. But it's Disney, so everything is going to be overly themed and very pretty everywhere you look. So that's where this is a good kind of inspiration for parks like that aren't just, you know, normal zoos, I guess. I don't really know how else to explain it. Just, yeah, overly themed and all that kind of stuff. I forget where we went after this, but there was a couple more enclosures that we're gonna look at here. These guys, I think this is a primate habitat. I think there's monkeys in here, but you can see very simple viewing area. It's all netted on the top. Planet Zoo, please add netting. I want it so badly. Please add netting so that we can make, you know, completely covered habitats and aviaries and things like that. That would be absolutely fantastic. There you go. I think you can see them right over there in kind of the right-hand corner, hanging out. And then we're gonna go into the bat house, which I thought was pretty cool. I really want to try to recreate something like this. You walk in, and although it looks like the bats are separated from you, I'm gonna walk up to this these little bars here and move them to the side so we get a better view for the camera. But it looks like they are separated and they can't actually get to you, but they totally can. So after I do this, I kind of go over to this side, and these are completely open. So if they wanted to, the bats could totally fly into where you're at, but there weren't. I couldn't find any. Actually, I don't remember. No, I don't think we saw any of them. They either were off exhibit or just somewhere where they were hiding and we couldn't see them. But I thought it was a pretty cool little habitat nonetheless. And then I was so sad. So I included this just for inspiration in theming. I mean, look at how beautiful the walls and stuff are, all these ruins and stuff like that. This was supposed to be the tiger habitat, but the tigers were off exhibit right now. I think they were doing some remodeling to their exhibit. But yeah, they were not on exhibit, so we didn't get to see the tigers. And then I forget what was supposed to be in here. I think actually, oh, it's water buffalo, but they are over in the water. We'll see them in just a minute. They had the right idea. They were hanging out in their little river pond area, but there was this bird. I don't know if you can see it, like kind of straight back to the left. Oh, Savannah's not gonna focus on the bird for very long. Just kidding. There is a bird in that shot if you want to pause it and try to find it. But here are I think they were African water buffalo? Some sort of water buffalo. But here they are hanging out. They have the right idea. Every single one of them was in their little pond, way too hot to be out and about, just hanging out with the ducks. So this little bridge area was actually pretty cool because on the left-hand side, you can see the water buffalo down there, but then on the right-hand side, come on Savannah, let's go right-hand side, let's take a look, is the tiger habitat. So this little habitat right here is part of the tigers area, which again, still wonderful theming, all beautifully done. They have like an upper pond pool that they can hang out in and then a deeper one there, but unfortunately not on exhibit, so no animals, but it was pretty cool to still see their exhibit and kind of see how it's built and stuff. We go into another walkthrough aviary with a bunch more little birds flying all over the place. One of them walks right in front of me, so I'll get a good view on that. But another just, I mean, self-explanatory little walkthrough aviary. I loved the flooring in this aviary because it goes through these like tiles to like pressed concrete with like a pattern on it. And it was just really well done. I mean, everything in Disney is really well done. So it was really cool and inspiring to see. Little mud wall pieces. Here's this little bird walking around on the floor. There's actually 2 or 3 of them or something like that. But he was just hanging out, couldn't be bothered. We were in his way, so, you know, it's his world. We were just living in it, and he was doing what he wanted. Here comes the other one that has a stick, and then somebody follows him because I think, you know, it wants the stick as well. But anyway, cute little bird, so you can see, here he comes, da-da-da-da. They have really long feathers. It looks like they're like long-haired birds. They're really funny looking. But anyway, they walked across, and then here's one more just kind of overview shot of the aviary before we walk out. I love the little vines that go over the top of your head across the walkway, because then the birds hang out on them and they kind of go over your head. I mean, I wouldn't recommend walking right underneath them because, you know, birds poop and that would not be fun. But it's cool to see them walk across those little vines. And then Kevin! It's Kevin from Up. And then we go on the safari ride, which is the last thing that we did before kind of heading out, at least on this vlog. This was kind of towards the end of the day for us. There's a little exhibit as you walk up. There was nothing in it, unfortunately, but this is going to be where we get on one of these little safari tram car thingies. Pre-warning, it is super bumpy, and I'm so sorry. I tried to keep the GoPro as still as possible, but my gimbal had died, so I was holding the GoPro just in my hands. So some of this does get a little bumpy because the ride itself is like super bumpy, but a lot of these habitats are really well done, and they're all kind of open and everything, but the animals, like if you see, they have like sneaky ways of keeping them contained from one area to another. I don't actually remember what was supposed to be in this first habitat, but really cool layout of the habitat nonetheless. And then we're going to see, I think they're bongos, that's what they are. I think they're bongos hanging out in the shade, but you can see they're like not contained at all. They can totally come right up to the vehicle if they want to. They don't really want to, which is why they're hanging out in the shade. And then we have a little hippo. This is separate from the hippo that we looked at before, but nice open habitat with tons of vultures. My goodness gracious, are there vultures all over the place in Florida, both in this vlog you'll see and in the next one as well for Zoo Tampa, all over the place. We have a nice big crocodile habitat. Look how clear the water is. I think that's fantastic. Although the big guys, you know, on the little island in the center there, really cool that if they go underwater, you can totally still see them, which is actually very cool. I don't know how hard it is to keep that water clean, but the keepers do a good job at it. There is some longhorned cattle, I think. I forget exactly what it is, but look at those guys with those big horns sharing their space with some giraffes. And this is again just a big open safari area, and the animals can kind of go to and from wherever they please, so it's really cool to see them kind of hanging out. And we did luck out. There was quite a bit of animals that were within viewing distance. You know, none of them were kind of back hiding, so it was pretty cool to see them kind of all out and about. You can see there's 1, 2, 3 giraffes there, and then one up on the hill, like facing away from us. He's over the tours. He didn't want to be on camera. But we have all these kind of open areas, lots of trees and things like that. And so very inspiring for an open safari if you're building one. You can kind of see how they have different little glimpses, kind of like dioramas a little bit, where you like one section to another, here's like another scene and here's another scene. I believe that was a cheetah habitat that we just saw, and then more just kind of big open spaces, bringing the habitat into you, whereas right now we are actually driving through water, which is pretty cool because it makes the guest, you know, feel like they're in the habitat with the animals. And then more baby duckies, look at them. My favorite thing ever. So many baby duckies. Don't mind the flamingos. The baby duckies are where it's at. But we have this little flamingo island where they're kind of all hanging out. There's this one in front with its head down in the water, eating and searching for food. The fact that the water was so clear was pretty cool because it's hard to see on camera, but in person you could actually see him doing his little stomping thing and using his beak to kind of filter out some food that he was kicking up. And then we have a little ostrich that was just kind of hanging out, staring at us. Didn't really do much other than sit and stare at us. So there you go, there's an ostrich. And then moving on, there's gonna be some rhinos over here in the corner, as well as another ostrich we'll get to in just a minute. But the rhinos were just kind of hanging out. I think there was a baby somewhere. It's hard for me to see right now, but I feel like on the intercom, because the lady obviously in this tour is talking the entire time, giving you information on conservation and the animals that we're seeing and stuff like that, and I'm pretty sure she said there was a baby rhino back there. And then I think maybe the other one wasn't a cheetah habitat and that one was, but I'm not sure. This one is warthogs. I remember that. They're kind of down under in a burrow. You know, it's so hot. All the animals were trying to find shade and everything. But that was it for the tour, at least the car tour, the safari ride. Now we are moving on to just some random little enclosures here and there, and that's really going to be the end of the vlog. We did obviously do all the rides and things like that. We actually sat, there's a theater underneath the Tree of Life, which is what you're seeing right now, and there's like a little Bugs Life show. We sat and watched it just so that we could sit in the air conditioning for a few minutes, because it is a children's show. It was cute, but it was mostly just for the air conditioning, but I didn't include any of that because this again is specifically looking at habitats and habitat design and stuff like that. We have a little bird rolling their eggs in their nest, which I thought was very cute, seeing the the little eggs in the nest. But yeah, so just some little exhibits here and there. As you're walking, the animals are kind of spread out. And as you're walking, you kind of have to realize like, oh, there's an animal over here. I was looking for them, so we didn't really miss anything. But if you don't know they're there, you could easily miss them. It was at this point in the day, you can see the sun's kind of getting lower. It was hot. We were melting. So I was running around to each enclosure trying to get some footage. These are some lemurs in here. I think there's red-ruffed and ringtail lemurs in here. They have beautiful little water, some climbing structures and stuff like that in their habitat. But I was basically just trying to get the footage so that we could leave because I was gonna die. I was gonna melt. We got there like at opening and we're there all day long, and you know, your feet are killing you. You're hot, you're tired, you're sticky and sweaty. It's gross. So by the end of the day, I was very ready to get back to the hotel and shower and relax. But we have just a couple more habitats to go before we do that. If you have made it this far, it was a longer vlog, so thank you so much for watching. I love doing these vlogs, so I do have one more coming out on Zoo Tampa. Hopefully I'll get to that one before another few months goes by. And if you guys did make it this far and enjoyed it, do leave a like down on the video and comment. If you've been to Animal Kingdom, let me know what your favorite aspect was, or if you haven't, what was your favorite exhibit that you saw in the video, and if it helped. If you guys do end up building something inspired by any of the footage that you see in this video, feel free to tag me on Twitter, share it on our Discord, or tag me on Instagram as well. I would absolutely love to see what you guys are building, especially if you use any of the footage that is in this video. And last but not least, we're gonna look at the otters. I just have to stop and talk about them real quick because they were so cute and they were swimming around and they were just super fun and adorable to watch. So there's a couple little footage of them. But then that's it. Then we are gonna end the vlog, and I hope it was helpful. I hope you enjoyed and hung out for the entire 30 minutes. But we're gonna end with a little underwater shot of the otters here in just a second. Keep a lookout for the other vlog on the channel, and yeah, that's really all I have for the video, for the vlog. So yeah, I'll stop trying to draw it out and sign off. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and until next time, I will talk to you guys in the next video. Bye.